Ah, well, I'm sorry for the rotten turnout. You should have invited some of your friends along. I've never known such a paltry crowd. But you're sounding buzzy, so I'm looking forward to this evening. Now, it's not going to be all about me, for once. Much relief. I will get round to interrogating Patrick Cullen. It's his evening, and the New English Art Club evening. New English. Not so new. As you know, you're well steeped in the tradition, I know you are. Well, founded in 1885 as a sort of psychological breakaway from the Royal Academy. They had
sort of?
Yes. They cut the umbilical cord, certainly. They had their own independent group. It had very different aims, very different inspirations, mainly from France. And it did well, and it attracted all the really greats of the time. And it's much beloved in this gallery. For 40 years, we've been steeped in the New English Art Club. If you go round our galleries, and it's open on the other side, you'll see a great Clawson. You'll always see Hercules Brabazon, who was a founder member. Philip Wilson Steer. These are the sort of artists that we've been championing and bringing back into focus. But in their day, they were great. They were great artists, great celebrities. Singer Sargent, all of those. And of course it's now in another great age, because we have the president of the last 2 years, Patrick Cullen. But before I hand over to Patrick, may I thank the artists who've given me such a great send-in. And I think there's been a good turnout. How many artists here? Put your hand up, don't be shy. Look at that. They're only here to see if I've hung it well, and they're in a good position, and is there a red spot? Well, there will be lots of red spots. Thank you all, particularly the artists, for sending in some great stuff. This is a really good looking show, and it's been beautifully hung by Adina. No interference from me. So thank her. She's the tall,
one here.
ginger,
Chris.
Adina in the corner. Well done. Everyone's been saying how wonderful it is, and artists are very difficult to please.
Thank you.
This lot. You're part of a great tradition, and you're nearly 2 years into the job, Patrick.
Yep.
President of the New English Art Club. How does it feel? How's it going?
It's going all right. Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it. It's quite challenging. There were a lot of things I wasn't expecting to have to deal with. We've got some financial problems. That's unusual, isn't it, in this day and age?
Buy the picture.
Yeah, but we're dealing with it. We're on the case, and I think we're succeeding. It's not my phone, no. I haven't done my phone. It could have been mine. So it doesn't well. Yeah, you were saying.
Why do you get financial problems? I wasn't expecting to ask them. Have you been embezzling or something?
Not personally. No, I mean, what a lot of people don't realise is that all the societies that we're in an organisation called the Federation of British Artists. It's not just the New English Art Club, it's the RBA, the Pastel Society, the Portrait Painters, and all. There's a lot of us. And we formed a collective, in a way, which is called the Federation of British Artists. And we all show at the Mall galleries. But part of the deal is, although we get the Mall galleries, we've got the gallery, we don't have to pay the rent, and all that sort of thing. We have that. But we don't get any of the money from the selling the paintings. I mean, the artists do, but the club itself gets no income from either selling paintings or from all the submissions, all the people who want to show with us. All that money goes to the Mall galleries. So we don't have an income stream. And for a long time that didn't matter, because in the past societies didn't need to actually do a lot of stuff that costs money. But it's very different today. With social media, with websites and all the other things that societies have to do, somebody has to do all that. You can't really rely on artists, particularly artists, to come forward and do all that stuff.
Well, the website, have you seen, you've all been on the website. I think it's a brilliant website. Is that Neale who runs that? I think I'm very impressed with it. I love reading the biographies, after seeing the images, I think it is really worth a visit. It's a quick crash course in the way that the NEAC looks now, and I suppose it is still within a tradition.
Absolutely, I was going to say something about that. Yeah.
Describe how you feel that the tradition lives on now.
Yeah.
And start off with what the guys at 1885 were trying to do, and just say, are we still doing it?
We're still doing it. It's different. It's changed, but there are things that we still have in common. I mean, our founding members were really looking at what was going on in France. They were very interested in the French Impressionists. And of course, the French Impressionists were reacting to their academy, the Académie Française, just as the New English artists were reacting to the Royal Academy over here. And what was going on in both those academies was very kind of stage, salon painting. And they recognized that the Impressionists had something really new and vital to say. So it was, at the beginning, the New English was a very radical, breakaway organization, and it was progressive and it was avant-garde. And what's happened, I think, in recent years is that we don't really have an avant-garde anymore. I think it's a misnomer. I mean, avant-garde actually means advanced garde. It means the people who are ahead of their time, and they're leading, and they're making progress, and it's a direction that everybody is going to have to follow. And initially there was a real avant-garde in Paris, and then it moved to New York. But now it's so international that we just got lots and lots and lots of versions of what the visual arts can be. None of them can really claim, I don't think, to be the avant-garde anymore. So, so in a way we've come around full circle, because there was a period in the 60s and 70s when there wasn't a lot of difference between the Royal Academy and the New English. They looked very similar. A lot of the leading artists in the New English were also Royal Academicians.
When? What was that?
In the 60s, 70s, 80s. And then it started to change. And I think one of the big changes was that the Royal Academy, in order to kind of keep up with the times, certainly in the view of the sort of chattering classes and the press, they virtually had to embrace all these new so-called avant-gardes in order to remain a sort of leading, to be considered a leading, along with the Tate, the leading institution, art institution in the land. Whereas the New English reacted to all these changes by, in a way, going back to their roots and looking at the things that we always valued and reaffirming them. And those things are to do with observational painting, with representational painting, looking intensely at the world around us and getting inspiration from that process of looking and observing. And I think it's just as radical as any other form of art, really. It may look more traditional, superficially, but actually you look around these paintings here tonight, you'll see lots of really interesting ways of looking at the world. They're all different, there's not a formula, and that's the beauty of it. It goes on being a radical exploration of the world around us.
You alluded to the Royal Academy, and I think if you can, in commonplace terms, if you can define avant-garde as something that is new and challenging and unintelligible and bewildering, I think the Royal Academy is just streets ahead on the avant-garde. And certainly I think that there is an increasing separation, which isn't such a bad thing, between the New English and its traditional but fresh look at the world, and the Royal Academy, which I think is in its nadir and going there fast. You see, the blessed Ken Howard has died. A feature of the Royal Academy. Our darling Anthony Green, who died on Valentine's Day appropriately, as his whole life was one recording of a love affair. 2 years ago, we miss him so much. William Bowyer was RA. He was RA. Ken Howard was RA. The father figure of the New English Art Club feeling was Bernard Dunstan, who I think is one of the all-time greats, certainly one of the post-war greats, and hugely influential on a generation of the New English Art Club. Will they be replaced in the elections coming up over the next few years? The answer is no. You won't see another Ken Howard. Pete Brown will not get a look in. He should be there to replace Ken Howard, but he needn't apply. He won't get in unless he smashes his canvas up and puts them in the corner and pisses on them. Then we'll have an installation, and the Royal Academy will appoint him. Do I have a extreme view? Yes, I'm born of traditional views, and this is why I rejoice in the New English Art Club. I think it's going through a very interesting phase. The variety, I think, is terrific. I'm appalled to hear of your financial troubles, and I hope that we're contributing a little bit to it. And I'm very optimistic. I think after 2 years of what has been a recession, I think we've been in a retail recession. The government won't admit it because they're in a Corba situation. They get very excited about bringing 0.01% increase in GDP. Retail, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like -6%. And it's been a very difficult thing. But I've just detected in the last few months a sort of existential revolt amongst people. They're starting to spend again. They are recognizing the ambient misery out there, but they're saying, in my world, I want to carry on living, indulging myself, my family, I want to go out, I want to see things, I want art around me. I'm going to stop worrying. The Labour government have frightened the hell out of me, but I'm now going to ignore them. And I think this is happening. We've noticed it in the gallery over the last couple of months. People are now behaving independently of outside ghastly circumstances. We had our best year in COVID. In all my 40 years, I had my best year when we were in lockdown. And that was because the human spirit had time, had money, and good taste to buy from us. I think there's another lockdown psyche going on now. And I think work of this quality will benefit hugely. And if a society is run well, and I'm sure it will from the top down and the committee, I think the future's bright for the New English Art Club. Because I think there is a cohesive, collective bonhomie amongst the artists. The fact that so many of you turned out tonight is saying something about the society. It means that you all feel something for the society. It's a snide joke that I said you're coming along to look see where your pictures. You're interested in everybody else's. But every time I talk to one of the NEAC artists, they start talking with fervour and interest about their mates, about what somebody else is doing. So I think it's a very healthy society, and I see it being increasingly part of a new surge for retail indulgence. And Patrick Cullen will be at the forefront of it.
Chris, thank you. I can't thank you enough. That's really, really lovely things that you've said, and I really appreciate you putting on this show for us and giving us a little bit of the proceeds. So it's very, very generous. Thank you.
Just briefly, before we give you a huge round of applause, have you got any favourites amongst these pictures here?
Alright.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's a joke.
Terrible bets. I think everything's got real, blessed substitute for Ken Howard and all his life. We've now got Melissa, producing work that is ever more inventive and dogged. She's out in all weathers. I love the fact that so many of the artists here paint on plein air. There's nothing wrong with studio work. I'm not being pejorative about studio work, but so many of you are out there. Confront the subject, put it down as you see it, and I think this shows there's a freshness, there's a directness. I love some of these things. The diversity is also there. How wonderful is that? Yeah. Sorry, I just put a hole in it, Peter. It's delightful. this young lady is over 100. Producing pictures, work of such dynamism. How bold is Diana Charnley's piece there, crammed up against that structure. I suppose it's almost raking in a little bit of the abstraction that people crave for. But beware of going too far on abstraction and colour. Leave that to the ninnies at the Royal Academy. Yes, really. If you go to the summer show, you'll find that everybody is clustered in one corner, staring at Diana Armfield, Olwyn Bowyer, and Melissa Scott Miller, and walking very quickly past the obscene neon signs. I think it asserts itself at the Royal Academy despite the Royal Academicians' delusions, and they should then. In fact, you should put your show on at the same time. Do you?
We do.
Yay! Down to the mouth and see some proper art. So from one old fart to another, and thank you very much indeed, Patrick. I'm very glad that you've come along, and thank you for bringing your splendid artists with you. And I do wish you all the very best for the shows ahead. And thank you all for coming.